All right. Hello. Welcome to part 2 of the Parts of a Heart lecture. So this one, we will use an actual heart diagram to label the parts of the heart. Once again, red will demonstrate, maybe if I hold it here, you'll see it better. Red will be oxygenated blood and blue will be deoxygenated. Red has O2, blue, no O2. And it doesn't actually have no O2. It just has very little O2. So, our journey is going to start the same place as it did last time. Blood is coming from the body. But we're making things a little more complicated because instead of there just being one vena cava, there's actually two. We call it the superior vena cava and the inferior. So anatomically, whenever we say something is superior, it means it's closer to the head. Whenever we say something's inferior, it's farther from the head. So superior vena cavas up here, inferior vena cavas down here. But both of them are bringing in deoxygenated blood. And both of them are going to travel to the right atrium first. So the right atrium is a receiving chamber. And then blood will travel through the tricuspid valve. And into the right ventricle. Now, when we did our original heart diagram where it was just the squares, they all appeared to be the same size. But when you look at this diagram, the atriums are definitely smaller than the ventricles. Now, the bigger of the two ventricles is actually the left ventricle. It looks smaller, but it has thicker muscles, and we'll get to why that is momentarily. So, the first receiving chamber, the right atrium, receives blood from the body, travels through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. And then it's going to travel up into the, well, first it's going to go through the pulmonary valve. Whoops, I should do that in black. And remember, pulmonary means lung. So pulmonary valve into the pulmonary arteries. And arteries always go away from the heart. Pulmonary arteries. So the blood still is deoxygenated, very low in oxygen. Now, again, in our simple model of squares, we did not have two branches of the pulmonary artery, but there is more than one branch of the pulmonary artery. So it travels to the lungs, and it comes back with oxygen. And it's actually coming back in all of these places. of these are what we call pulmonary veins, which maybe I'll turn back on the lights. Pulmonary veins. And so the veins go towards the heart and into the receiving chamber. Again, receiving chambers are the atrium. So we've got the left atrium. And our oxygenated blood travels through the left atrium, through the bicuspid valve. Sometimes it's called the mitral valve, but we're just going to call it the bicuspid valve. And the bicuspid valve leads to the left ventricle. Now, as I said, the left ventricle is more muscular than the right ventricle. And the reason that is the right ventricle is only pumping blood to the lungs. Doesn't have very far to go. The left ventricle has to pump blood all the way through the body. So it's going to pump blood, and it's going to travel through the aortic valve. Sorry, that wasn't very well. Through the aortic valve, which then leads to the aorta. And again, the aorta is the largest artery in the human body. That's because all blood going to the body has to pass through the aorta. It's like a super highway that everybody needs to go through to exit. Like when everyone's leaving through the school to get to the parking lot, everyone's going through, could be going through one set of doors. I know we have multiple doors, but pretend we only have one door. Or at the end of class, we all have to exit through the door, and then you go your separate ways. It's the same sort of thing. So if you need to screenshot this, whatever it takes, that is how blood travels through the heart. I forgot to add to body. So that's going to the body. Otherwise, have a super fantabulous day.